Shalom. All praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Ba'asham, Yahweh Shai, Ba'asham, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of the great millstone, and salutations to you, sincere Akia. And this is your brother Abawan back again with another video through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Ba'asham, Yahweh Shai, Ba'asham, Rakakwadash. All praises and glory is due. And the title of this video is going to along the lines of the significance of prophecy, and I'm using the book of Jeremiah 51 verse 6, or rather I'm highlighting Jeremiah 51 verse 7, specifically the first part of that chapter where it says, and this is the book of Jeremiah 51 verse 7, Babylon has been a golden cup in Yahweh's hand. And that's the pieces I'm going to highlight, and this shows you the significance of Babylon the Great, America, Babylon the Great in Bible prophecy, right? And let me just clarify that when I mention Babylon, when I speak of Babylon, I'm speaking about the United States of America, okay? And I just wanted to highlight this based on current events, and you already know what it is, right? What other country do you know on the planet where an attempted assassination would go this viral within the span of just a few hours? Because like what was it 2 to 3 hours into Trump actually being shot, and that was like, I think that was yesterday morning, Sunday morning here in Nigeria. I think it was like in the afternoon or something in Babylon the Great. The whole world already knew about it. People are talking about it on a global scale, and that just shows you the influence, okay, that Babylon the Great has on the whole world. But even more importantly, the influence that Babylon the Great has on Bible prophecy. And even this scripture shows you that as well. Jeremiah 51 verse 7. Babylon has been a golden cup in Yahweh's hand that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of our wine, therefore the nations are mad. Further proof showing you that America is referring to, or rather Babylon the Great in the scriptures is referring to the United States of America, right? Because when we're talking about the wine of Babylon the Great, right, that's the wine that Babylon the Great had made all the nations to be drunken with. We are talking about American foreign policy. It's not just the philosophy. That's a huge part of the wine, of course. But now that I'm really meditating on it and thinking about it, it's really U.S. foreign policy. Because if you notice, Babylon the Great is involved in damn near every nation. When you see that they have military bases spread across all over the world, when you see that they're always sending their representatives, to different parts of the world in order to promote the wickedness of Babylon the Great, or to promote, Babylon the Great to them, and really is going into US foreign policy, including how they use their secretive organizations, right, like the CIA and the like, the what they call them again, the financial hitmen, right, the different methods the CIA uses to destabilize various nations. And you see that the US really is a central figure, right, in the world right now, and the affairs, the events that go on in the US permeate on a global scale. It affects the world. Okay, that's why something like Iran, the shooting of Trump, just a random presidential candidate, can blow up to this extent, because any other country this happens in, nobody is hearing of it. It only happens because it's in Babylon the Great. That's why Trump isn't a political figure just for Babylon the Great. He's a political figure all over the world. Everybody knows who Trump is. You know, everybody knows who Trump is. Everybody knows that Trump is going up against Biden. The presidential debate was a global affair, and really the reason why is because, like we just read, that Babylon has made the whole world drunken with their with their wine, right? They have the ability to influence the whole planet, and even the influence and the control of Babylon the Great was prophesied. The military bases in Babylon the Great was prophesied. After all, it's not written that Esau Edom is as death Let me get that precept in the book of Habakkuk, the second chapter. And this is just to show you that there is nothing that happens on the earth that was not ordained by the Most High Yahweh Hashem Yahshai. Even the most seemingly random events can still be connected to Bible prophecy. So this is the book of Habakkuk 2, verse 4. Behold, his soul, which is lifted up in him, is not upright in him, but the just shall live by his faith. And who is this referring to? It's referring to Esau, Edom, specifically the Edomites, okay, the whole family. Habakkuk 2, verse 5. Yea, also, because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desire as hell, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. And this is why you see the basically the US military bases scattered all over the world, because Esau Edom, right, the so-called red man, okay, enlarging his desire, enlarging his territory, and trying to cause this. And this is basically going into globalization as well. Basically, we are trying to bring all people together, one nation, right? One tongue, one currency, and that's why you see Babylon the Great being the melting pot that it is. So, what do I mean when I refer to Babylon as a melting pot? Let's get that. Let me see if the Merriam-Webster will be able to bring up that for us. Here it is, melting pot. So this is the definition for the word melting pot. A place where a variety of peoples, cultures, or individuals assimilate into a cohesive whole. The population of such a place, and that's basically what a melting pot is. And that's exactly what Babylon the Great is, because you have nations from all over the world living in Babylon the Great, and then you now have the influence of Babylon the Great going all over the world into various nations. That's why you that's how we know that America, the US, has to be Babylon the Great, because all these Bible prophecies, fits it so perfectly. And then you even have these Christian scholars that can see it, because if the Christians can see it, then you know that this is abundantly clear. We know exactly who or what Babylon is in the scripture, and we also see the significance of Babylon the Great in the scriptures, because this is the I don't know what term to use, but basically the item, the parts, this is something that was prophesied to affect the whole world, to cause all the nations to drink as it is written. And let's go to the book of Revelation, the 17th chapter, of the wine of our fornication. Revelation 17, verse 1. And there came one of the seven angels which had the seven vials, and talked with me, saying unto me, Come thither, and I will show thee the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters. And the great whore once again. And of course, we'll read all of this and we'll see exactly what this angel is speaking about here when he's talking to the prophet John, the Revelator. Revelation 17, verse 2, with whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication. So he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet colored beast, full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. And that shows you that Babylon the Great, okay, America, the United States is separate from the beast. And that's why you see that, even though Babylon the Great is a part of NATO, right? Of course, it's not a part of the EU. But even though they're all Edomites, it's separate because aside from the fact that Babylon the Great is 2 oceans away from Europe, right? From the landmass itself, it's in its own isolated part of the world. It is also a completely different nation in terms of Bible prophecy. Because when we talk about the scarlet colored beast, I'm talking about NATO and the EU, right? So the EU nations that also came together to create NATO. And if you know the history of NATO, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, right, it was set up basically to come against Russia's attempt to become, a superpower, basically to try to revitalize the Soviet Union. That's why you have the current Russia-Ukraine debacle. Well, of course, it's more than a debacle, but you get the point. Revelation 17, verse 4. And the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color, decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand, full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication. Right? Because that's how Babylon the Great depicts itself as a in scarlet, in purple, decked with gold and precious stones. That's why you are seeing such a mass migration to Babylon the Great. A migrant crisis currently going on in Babylon the Great on a scale that has never before been seen, because all these nations are foolishly believing that they can go into Babylon the Great and build a life for themselves. And even here in Nigeria, man, Jake here in Nigeria is frothing at the mouth, literally dying just to get to Babylon the Great. They take their life savings, sell everything they have just to get the ticket to Babylon the Great. That's how, because in the eyes of the people of this world, Babylon the Great is a paradise. Okay, it is a land of opportunity where you can live the American dream. You can go there, build a life for yourself and live prosperously. Oh, it's a developed nation. Oh, it's the greatest nation in the world. But when you peel back the veil and when you're actually there, then you realize exactly what it is. It's a degenerate kingdom, a wicked lowland, a valley, right? The valley of dry bones, basically. You get the wool removed from your eyes and you see Babylon the Great for exactly what it is. That's why the scriptures say that she had a golden cup in her hand full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication. You come to Babylon the Great and you see that cup, man. You see the abominations that go on day by day in Babylon, man. The filthiness, the underbelly of the quote unquote greatest nation ever. And when you come into this truth, when you are exposed to that instantly, because we're not just talking about the wickedness in Babylon the Great, but talking about the wickedness of Babylon the Great. And what that means is the history, right? The legacy of rape, robber, and murder, of destruction, of of basically. And I always usually say this, that Babylon the Great isn't the best because they are the best nation out there. No, America, Babylon the Great is the best nation out there because they literally brought everybody down below them and made sure that no other nation could come up against them, right? They they spent, I don't even know how much it is, but basically the intelligence budget for keeping nations poor, for destabilizing nations, and using not just the CIA but these mega corporations, right? Your big pharma, big tech, and the like, to keep nations poor in order to keep the price of the raw materials for their products cheap. And that's the tactic they practice all over the world. They did it here in Africa, they do it in South America, they do it in the Middle East. Hell, they used to do it to China before. They even did it to Russia as well. The reason why the Soviet Union eventually broke down is because of the same thing that you see happening to Russia today. The sanctions, okay? The first time they sanctioned the Soviet Union, Russia, the Soviet Union at the time. Oh, I was talking about Cold War shit right now, but the Soviet Union at the time was way too big, so those sanctions really affected everywhere. When they tell you about Stalin and or actually Stalin was, I think that was World War II, if I remember correctly. But when they tell you about those times, right, the Bolshevik Revolution and things like that, about how communism failed Russia and Stalin. And I'm trying to remember the timeline for these things because I think I'm getting it a little bit confused. Okay, so World War One was the Tsar of Russia, Tsar Nicholas. Okay, so and World War Two, Russia was supporting Babylon the Great. Okay. Okay, I'm recalling this now. World War Two, Russia was supporting Babylon the Great. Or rather or rather came together with Babylon the Great in order to bring down the Nazis, okay, the Germans. Okay. So yeah, Stalin was during the Cold War. Okay, that's what I was thinking about. That's what I was thinking about. Yeah, Stalin was during the Cold War. Because Stalin, no, Slovakia. You know what? Let me just leave it. Let me just leave it. I'm not really sure about the history, but let me just leave it. I don't remember. Yeah, I've forgotten all this stuff, and it was a long time ago. But I don't remember that part. But basically, you get the point. Okay, Babylon the Great keeps all the other nations below it, all the other nations down, in order for it to look as though it thrives and look as though it is the best. And of course, how did they do that? Right? Well, you see it in the scriptures. The woman was sitting upon what? The scarlet colored beast. And that's exactly what Babylon the Great did. That's why you have a term called the Monroe Doctrine. And basically, what happened is, Babylon, America, Babylon the Great used the power of, Great Britain, right? And after World War II, really, it used the power of the whole of Europe in order to cement itself as a world power and use the threat of Europe to cement itself as a global power. I'm not really going to go too deep into that history, but you clearly can get the point. The reason why Babylon the Great was made to be, the reason why Babylon is basically the great and wicked nation that it is right now is because it used the power of, because basically it's because of Bible prophecy, okay? Or just relating the historical events that happened, which led to the United States of America becoming a superpower to basically just that, connecting Bible prophecy to those events. And we are seeing that circle of influence now. So continuing on, Revelation 17, verse 5. And upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. And I saw the woman drunken with the blood of the saints and with the blood of the martyrs of Yahweh. And when I saw her, I wondered with great admiration. Right, because Babylon the Great had, you know, basically we're basically going back to the transatlantic slave trade and all the, like I said, rape, robbery, and murder that she did against the Israelites. Of course, starting with the northern kingdom and also the southern kingdom as well. Because you have to remember, the saints of the Most High Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, of course, they are the elect because the elect of the nation of Israel are the main saints, right? But all of Israel are also saints as well. Every single Israelite is a saint. Let's not forget that, you had members of the elect that died during the transatlantic slave trade. You had members of the elect that were genocided by Esau, Edom, and Christopher Columbus and the like when they first landed in Babylon. Okay, so it's not as though the elect were kept from all these things. You are also there with the men of the Lord at least. Lord really will be a part of that number. We are also there going through the same hell as the rest of our people. That's why the scriptures say in the courses that the Most High will carry thou and thy king to a land which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, and there you shall serve gods even of wood and stone. That's Deuteronomy 28, and I can't remember the exact verse. And this is just, the recap or the history relating to the prophetic events that led the history of the prophetic events that the scriptures are speaking on. So yeah, this is the book of Revelation 17, verse 5, and I think I've already read that. I've already read that part. So yeah, let me jump down a little bit because I want to actually get a certain precept. Okay, here it is. Revelation 17, verse 15. And he said unto me, The waters which thou sawest, where the horse sitteth, are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues. Right, the waters that the whore of the whore of Babylon basically came out of are the nations. Basically once again showing you that the Babylon the Great is separate from the beast. Okay, and it came out of the peoples, right? Now was all the nations that are on the earth, and also is since it's a melting pot, it has present all the nations that are on the earth, right? Because you have the number of immigrants or the percentage of immigrants that are coming into Babylon the Great constantly increasing. And of course, we already know what the reason why these things are happening in prophecy, because an altar is being prepared, a sacrifice is being prepared, and if you're not of the elect, man, let me you just say it as it is. If you're not of the elect and you're in Babylon the Great, you're going to be destroyed. The Most High Yahweh Basham Yahshua is going to destroy you. That's just facts, okay? Let me get this next precept. So let me get this next precept. Still, once again, going into Babylon the Great. So this is the book of Revelation. Okay, the next chapter, Revelation 18, verse 1. And after these things, I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lightened with his glory. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the Great is fallen, and is become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and the cage of every unclean and hateful bird. For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of our fornication. Once again, showing you that the influence that Babylon the Great has had was a global, or is on a global scale. That's why, yeah, Americanization, basically, that's what they call it, of the world. That's why the culture that is going on here, that is in America, the philosophies of America, your democracy, right, your schooling system, it has been adopted all over the world. All the major areas of activity, right, education, entertainment, law, so on and so forth, they've all been adopted by the whole world, and that shows you the level of influence that America, Babylon the Great, has on the earth. Continuing on, Revelation 18, verse 3. For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. Right, let's not also forget that the trade and the deals that Babylon the Great makes with all these other nations, right? That is how China managed to build itself up as an economy by using, by using the Babylon the Great to enrich itself, okay? And it's the same with so many other nations, because a lot of these countries are using the wealth of Babylon the Great and the trade that they have with Babylon the Great to enrich themselves. And that's why, going back to the Russia Ukraine war, when the war first happened, you saw how the Babylon put a sanction on Russia, and then all the EU nations followed putting a sanction on Russia. And if you remember, for the first few months after that happened, I think it was, yeah, a couple of months, the Russian currency, the Russian ruble, was basically worth nothing, right? It was basically at like 0.0000000. That's basically what it was worth. It was completely devalued, but they eventually managed to pick it back up for themselves. Okay, and that was because of the whole BRICS infrastructure that Russia was already building. Because basically, what happened is that Russia stopped trading with the West and began to trade with other countries, and that's probably one of the reasons why you see Vladimir Putin driving around with Kim Jong Un, because basically he went there to do a business deal. Okay, but continuing on, Revelation 18, verse 4. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, Come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of our sins, and they receive not of our plagues. For our sins are reached unto the heavens, and the Most High Yahweh Basham Yahshua hath remembered her iniquities. Reward her even as she rewarded you, and double unto her double according to her works. In the cup which she hath filled to her, which she hath filled, fill to her double. How much she hath glorified herself, and lived deliciously, so much torment and sorrow give her. For she saith in her heart, I sit a queen, and am no widow, and shall see no sorrow. Right, and the average Babylonian feels this way, that America, Babylon the Great, is impregnable. It is a fortress. They are safe. That's why they are, they have all these freedoms and liberties that are far superior to any other nation. So they feel that nothing will ever happen to them, right? Wrong, obviously, because eventually Babylon the Great will be destroyed, and it will of course be destroyed by the Mosai Yahweh Basham Yahushai, and it will burn. Okay, and I'd say dramatically, but yeah, it will burn in the presence of the Lamb and his angels, including the elect, and that's why the scriptures talk about a lake of glass mingled with fire, and that's the witness as the elect that has been delivered. Lord willing will be a part of that number, being up and watching the destruction of Babylon the Great. So yeah, let me continue. Let me continue on. Revelation 18 verse 8. Therefore shall our plagues come in one day, death and mourning and famine, and she shall be utterly burned with fire. For strong is Yahweh of power, who judgeth her. And even though you see the current power and influence which Babylon the Great has. You see, the level of the sphere of influence, the level of influence Babylon the Great has. It will be brought down. They will be brought down. Babylon will be brought down to the grave, right? Come down to the ground, O virgin daughter of Babylon, which is basically referring to America as well, because the reason why we call America Babylon the Great is because Baba, which is confusion, because of the confusion within Babylon the Great, and also because it is spiritually Babylon, because you see it adopts a lot of the practices of the Neo Babylonian Empire, which is basically Nebuchadnezzar's kingdom. Okay. Isaiah 47 verse 1. Come down and sit on the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon. Sit on the ground, there is no throne, O daughter of the Chaldeans, for thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate. And there was a time when the America Babylon the Great was taught as tender and very delicate, all over the world, the people all over the world saw Babylon the Great as a symbol, right? A beacon of truth, justice, and the American way. And now, in these last days, you are realizing that truth, justice, and the American way is just a dog whistle. It's just a buzzword. It doesn't mean anything because there is no truth in Babylon the Great, right? It is let me go to that in the book of Nahum. Bloody city, right? It is a bloody city, so there is no truth and there definitely is no justice. Woe to Nahum 3 verse 1. Woe to the bloody city! It is full of lies and robbery. The prey departeth not. And now the people of the world are beginning to see that, this is really what Babylon the Great is on. A bloody city, the prey departeth not. The noise of the whip and the noise of the rattling of oil and got a little carried away. Nahum 3 verse 2. The noise of a whip and the noise of the rattling of the wheels and of the prancing horses and of the jumping chariots. That's basically all I'm going to read about that. So yeah, you're basically seeing now exactly what kind of place Babylon the Great is. And the nations, their eyes are being opened. The people of this world, their eyes are being opened to the evil and wickedness that goes on in Babylon the Great, right? Unrighteous judgment does go forth every day. So with that, end the video right here. Once again, all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Ba'asham Yahawashai, Ba'asham Rachakwadash, Wa Abad Babal, Shalom. And through the spirit of Yahweh, you are caused by edified. Shalom.